How's it going, everybody? I am the Texas Man. Welcome back to the channel to another video. Hope you guys are all having an amazing day. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and join up as a group member if you have not already. And you hit that bell notification button to get notified of any upcoming videos coming out in the future here on the Texas Man channel. I want to let you guys know that I have two goofballs in the background right now making a bunch of noise, so I do apologize for any noise and distractions that may occur in this video, but I'm trying to get it out before I fall asleep because it has been a long day for me. So we're going to be talking about the movie Midway that came out this past weekend, and it was really good. There was a couple problems with it, but I think the fact that this movie marketing and whatnot, promoting it for it to come out on Veterans Day weekend was a very wise and a smart decision. And I think because of that, the movie is going to succeed really well. And there's really not a lot of competition out at the movie theater at the moment competing with Midway. And I think the fact that it's coming out, and then next month in December, we're getting 1917, which is going to be a World War I movie. I think we're getting some really interesting historical films and taking place and showing us not only really well-known battles, but also some lesser-known stuff in American history. And I think that's a really cool thing. So I'm going to talk about positives and negatives and then give you guys my final review score. Honestly, this was a very, like I said, good war film. One of the best war films that has been made. And it's very accurate to historical events, at least from what I know. I'm not a historian. But I think from what was shown, I think they did a really truthful adaptation of the events of not only Pearl Harbor, the intelligence disaster that was, and gathering more intelligence to prepare for the war in the Pacific. I can't talk properly for some reason. And the Battle of Midway. Amazing acting from all the actors, even lesser known ones. Patrick Wilson? I think it's Patrick Wilson from The Insidious and Hannibal. What is all seeing? The Conjuring and all that stuff. I think he did a really amazing job for being in there. And also Dennis Quaid showed up. And I didn't know that he was going to be in the film at all. The trailers don't show him, and he just shows up, and I'm like, oh, this film just got a lot better. So, really good. This movie also does end up showing both sides. This film, I was kind of hesitant about this because I was like, how are they going to handle the fact that both the American and the Japanese, Navy and fleets and whatnot, they're both fighting for what they believe in, and how are they going to handle showing that? And they do a really good job at it. Honestly, this is a movie that I highly encourage you guys to go see. I'm personally going to get it on Blu-ray, and rewatching it is definitely going to be something that I highly encourage. It's definitely not as good as past war films that we have gotten in the past, like Hacksaw Ridge, Saving Private Ryan, or even the original Pearl Harbor. But it's definitely a really good war film, and I think they did a really good job. Now, like I said, it's not an amazing film. There are some problems. There's a lot of very choppy scenery. So what I mean by that is, like, when it's swapping from one scene to another, it's very choppy, and it just happens constantly, especially for the middle part of the film. It happens constantly where it's like, okay, we get a 2-minute scene here. Okay, move to the next scene. We got to do this and this and this and this. And I'm like, oh, it's really a bit of a headache. Next thing that's a negative is, honestly, you will never remember any of the character names. Even though the film tells you the character names in the movie like 5 times, I'm like, I could never remember because there's so much going on and so many characters. And even though some of the characters end up getting killed off, I'm like, okay, well, that guy's dead. And all that you're left with is like saying, oh, well, that dude's dead. Yeah, I remember his face, but I don't remember his name. I'm like, even Dennis Quaid, he ends up playing an admiral, and he ends up being medically discharged because of a rash he has right before the Battle of Midway. And I'm like, all I know is it's Dennis Quaid. Whatever actual person he was trying to portray, I don't know his name. And I just got out of seeing the film like 3 hours ago, and I'm like, I don't remember anyone's name. I'm like, I remember certain key moments in the film and whatnot, but that's it. So that's a big problem. Even at the end of the film, it ends up saying, this person did all this for Midway, and this is what happened after, World War II ended and all that stuff. And I'm like, even with all that, I'm like, I don't remember anybody. It's just, there's not a single memorable character in the film. It's just a bunch of people. And there's not like a brotherhood. I'm like, yes, it's the American Navy going to go fight the Japanese fleet, but I'm like, there's not a group of people that I can latch onto and say, hey, I'm rooting for you guys. Unlike with the Pacific TV show or Band of Brothers, none of that stuff is in this film, and that's a problem. And then lastly, this film really felt like 3 movies happening all at once. So you've got the opening scene where it shows you trying to prevent World War II getting involved. I'm sorry, it shows you America trying to not get involved in World War II with trying to keep peace and whatnot in 1934 with the Japanese and whatnot. And then it shows you really fast the escalation of what happens before Pearl Harbor. And it shows you Pearl Harbor for about 5 to 10 minutes. And then it goes into another film showing you the intelligence disaster that it was, and then all the intel gathering that they had to do in order to prepare for Midway. And then we get a third movie where it's actually the Battle of Midway. And I'm like, I understand that they had to do a bunch of setup, but the setup with Pearl Harbor and the intelligence gathering were boring. And I was like, that should have been a good setup piece for what happens in Midway. But I'm like, it wasn't. Too many characters, too much stuff going on all at once. And honestly, because of that, I think a lot of people like myself are going to forget this movie even existed. And that is a bad thing, especially for such a patriotic type of film that this was supposed to be going for. I'm still going to get it on Blu-ray. I will still watch from time to time. It'll be, in my war film collection alongside of, Pearl Harbor, Hacksaw Ridge, and Saving Private Ryan. But am I going to say this is something that is like amazing? No, it's not a 10 out of 10, but it did do a really awesome job showing you the Battle of Midway and the sacrifices that were required in order to win that battle and the turning point that made for the war in the Pacific so that the Americans could win that part in World War II. I hope you guys all enjoyed this review. With that, I'm going to give Midway a 9 out of 10. I'd like to know what you guys thought of the film if you have seen it, and let me know in the comment section below. I will see you guys all in the next video. You guys all have a great day. Bye, guys.